No,
Just
I'm
hit record, you're good to go.
Let's hit it.
Are you ready to go? Okay. So chapter 7 was written by P. Mazanki. I wanted to say Mackenzie, but it's Mazanki. Her title is "It's My Life," and it really encapsulates the entire chapter, where she talks about her first line in the entire chapter is "Life is all about the choices we make." And her entire chapter boils down to we make the choices and we make our own life. So if we don't like something, it's our decision to make it better. It's on us to make it work. So just a brief overview of where she came from. She started out in 1984 with Cutco, and at the age of 19. After a few years, she moved into management roles. She worked with the company as an assistant manager, a district manager, a branch manager, and then eventually, after a while, she wasn't content with those positions, so she found herself wanting a different role, wanting something else. And what she ended up doing was met with Marty Dimitrovich, and he's the vice president of Vector at the time. And he basically asked him, or she had met him earlier at a previous conference, and she asked him for an exit interview out of the job. And being the nice guy Marty was, he granted it to her, and they sat down, and through the interview, we were just sitting down together, she explained to him how she wanted the sales promotions manager role, basically what Rancha does, if you've ever met Rancha. She wanted that role, and he said, "I'm sorry, we actually just filled it a few weeks ago by this guy who's much more qualified than you." And she broke down in tears and was like, "I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I just know I'm not really happy with this job." So she ended up leaving the company for a little while, and after a couple of weeks, well, first of all, she went to her mother, and her mother's like, they're very religious, and he said, go pray about it and everything, and she prayed on it. And a few weeks later, Marty gave her a call and said, the guy that was just hired, a few months later, the guy that was just hired quit. And she asked, "Oh, what happened?" He said, "Well, he had to leave because he wanted to go home and run his family business rather than take on the role." And she was just, mind was blown. So she really loved that. And within that role, she was able to work more closely with Marty in her roles in the company, and was able to learn a lot. So some of the key things that she learned from Marty was bartering. Bartering is a big one with Cutco. As a sales rep, you have a lot of pull. This is a product that's made forever. You know what that means when you barter with someone? That you could trade cars for Cutco. Like, that's how great this stuff is. Cars break down. This stuff doesn't break down. If it does, it's guaranteed. Like, you can literally trade sets for cars. So she went into talking about that, as well as negotiating too. Negotiating down prices. The one thing she said she learned in the job was how to negotiate properly, how to get what she wanted. And at the same time too, it's probably a new concept for you too, to ask what you want, ask for the sale, ask for the recommendations. But that's what it boils down to, is you have the choice to ask for what you want or take what you just get. But people aren't always going to give you what you want, so it's up to you to ask for it. As well as listening to others, it's active listening. She talks about actively listening to people, looking for key phrases, and not only reacting what they say, but taking it in, realizing where they're coming from, and understanding their point of view, and then asking valuable and really insightful questions to engage them more. And then the last point was listening to yourself. She talks about an exercise where if you're getting caught into a bad situation, where you're having a down day or you don't know what's putting you off, she came up with this exercise where basically you listen to your inner thoughts. You listen with your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, if that makes sense. But basically you take a step back and you just listen to the thoughts that are going through your head. And what she said you notice is that certain things just keep coming up over and over and over again. And basically those are the things that are disturbing you. Those are the things you have to address in your life. And what she said was basically you say release. And release everything from your conscious mind, because at that point you've accessed it, and then it's gone. You've dealt with it. And you can move on. You take the appropriate steps to counter that in the future, and you go on with your day a lot happier than when you sat down. So in 1999, she left Cutco, left Vector, left everything, and started in 2000 with her own coaching business. And since then, she's went on to develop these roles with other people. Again, she goes back to working with people. You have to listen to others. You have to listen to what they're saying, what their body language is saying, how they're saying it, where they're saying it, for what reasons. When you're coaching someone's life, like, it's not a small thing. You have to know where everything is. You have to know their diet, you have to know their exercise, how much they're sleeping, what type of work they're in, the environment they're in, everything. You have to listen to them. When we sit down with customers, I mean, you have to know where they're coming from. You have to understand the questions, or where their questions are coming from. You have to know what type of cook they are, why they're that type of cook, that type of thing. And the more you understand people, the more you can help them. As well as listening to yourself. It boils down, again, to gut feeling, listening to what your thoughts are. If you're reading body language, it's really easy to just dismiss it rather than actually read into it, listen to yourself, listen to what they're saying, just through your body. And ask yourself for what you want, or ask for what you want again. And also set intentions. Once you ask for what you want, you have to set the intention to get it. So like Denise did in her exercise, you gotta set an intention, you gotta set a goal, you gotta pick something, and you gotta want it bad enough. But if it doesn't come, you don't get mad about it. You gotta release it and just get on with it. You gotta take the appropriate steps to get it. You can't just expect it to come to you if you ask for it. So when we release, in that case, when we set intentions and we release our attachment to an outcome, we create opportunity for an even greater outcome. So her example was is she wanted these tickets to a Bon Jovi concert she was trying to attend, and they literally sold out in less than an hour when she was standing in line. She couldn't get anything. And she knew a friend that worked for someone, and she couldn't get her tickets either. And finally, a few weeks down the road, she just said to her husband at the time, like, you know, if it works, it works. If not, if not. If the tickets will be, they'll be. And she was explaining to a coworker of hers about her frustrations and trying to track down everything. She wasn't mad that she couldn't get her tickets, but she knew, you know, if it would be, it would be. And one of her coworkers ended up knowing someone in the band, got her tickets, and they ended up going. So it was just one example of, you know, if you want something bad enough and you don't dwell on the negative, it will come to you eventually. You just have to put in the appropriate steps.